Hello, my name is Shannon Haynes and I'm a registered dietitian at Backus Hospital. Today we're making some low-fat scalloped potatoes with a healthy twist, whereas it's going to be half red and Yukon Gold potatoes and half sweet potatoes. We've done that because sweet potatoes add a lot more vitamins, a lot of vitamin A and some antioxidants with their nice rich and full orange color. And we're also going to make this traditional recipe more low-fat. Scalloped potatoes are something that I know in our family we've always had along with our Christmas dinner every year, and they can really add a lot of fat and calories. So when you do things like choosing low-fat milk and choosing a low-fat cheddar cheese, and it really cuts down a lot on the fat. This is the low-fat cheese that we're going to use today. It's a 50% reduced fat cheddar cheese, so it has half the fat of the regular cheddar, but still has full flavor. It's amazing. You really can't tell that this cheese is low fat. It's great with cheese and crackers, or it's wonderful to cook with. So that's the one that we're going to use. But first what we're going to do is make our sauce on the pan. And we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm not going to measure it because you don't have to be exact. The olive oil that we're going to use today, and the one that I always recommend to families and patients that I work with to cook with, is the extra virgin first cold pressed olive oil, because it has a much higher amount of antioxidants that are still active from that first cold pressing, and it also is very high in the omega fatty acids, which are good for our heart. We are also going to add a couple of tablespoons of margarine just to have that butter flavor. Okay, so basically what I'm doing over here is making a roux, which is the base to any sort of a creamy sauce. So after adding the 2 different kinds of fat, our olive oil and our margarine, we want to add some garlic. We're going to use a garlic press for this. It's much easier. You can mince it up by hand if you want. Okay. Now that we have the olive oil and the margarine, we're going to add some flour to make it this nice roux, which is the base to our sauce. And I know you can normally make scalloped potatoes without making a roux sauce on the side. However, because we're making it low fat and I'm using the low fat milk, we need to make sure we have some flour in the sauce to hold it together and give it some good consistency. After you've added the flour, you just want to keep whisking it so that the flour doesn't clump. Okay, we're going to add the milk now. About 2 1/4 cups should be plenty of sauce for this dish of potatoes. Now we're going to stir it until this, and heat it until the sauce gets nice and thick and bubbly. And this is just with a 1% milk. Most of these cheese sauces are made with at least half and half, or heavy cream or whole milk, but we're really cutting down on a lot of the fat by using the 1% milk. Okay, now so just for a little extra flavor, I'm going to grate in about a half a cup of the Asiago cheese. Asiago is a harder cheese. You find it in the specialty cheeses over with the fresh Parmesan. And it's nice because it has a little bit more fat and a little bit more flavor than Parmesan, but it's still one of the harder cheeses, so it's not high in fat by any means. And we're also going to add just a pinch of nutmeg. Nutmeg adds a lot of flavor to any cheese sauces, like a homemade macaroni and cheese or these scalloped potatoes. It doesn't taste like nutmeg directly, but it really gives it a little hint of a flavor. It's very nice. Okay, and while this sauce is cooking, we're going to add the cheddar cheese, that 50% low fat that I was showing you. And I've already pre-shredded this. I use the Cuisinart for this, but you can, grate it on a grater, however you want to shred your cheese. You can even buy pre-shredded low-fat cheddar cheese too. I just really prefer the habit, so I like to shred it myself. But any kind will work. So I added just about a cup of the cheddar cheese, 3/4 to a cup is a perfect amount to make the potatoes cheesy, but not over the top in cheese. So before we put our potatoes in, we're going to spray this with a nice thin layer of the olive oil spray. This will just prevent any sticking on the pan. It'll be easier to clean as well. And so what I've done is I've pre-sliced some nice red potatoes. And I use the Cuisinart for this, but you can hand slice them. However you want to do it is great. So now we're going to layer our sweet potatoes in. You can just mix and match them. It doesn't have to be any specific order that you put the potatoes in. Just the thinner that they're sliced, the nicer that the dish comes out. Okay, so now we're going to pour on our cheese sauce, and see, it comes out really nice and thick, and you would never know that this is low fat. And you'll see with the finished product how nice it really comes out. Great. Okay, and now we're just going to toss the potatoes around a little bit just to make sure that they're all covered with this delicious cheesy sauce that we made. We're just going to add a little bit sprinkle of sea salt to taste. Not a lot, just a little sprinkle for tasting. So we're going to bake this at about 350 degrees and for about 30 minutes covered. And then after 30 minutes, we'll uncover it and let the top brown really nicely. You can tell that it's done just by taking a fork and poking it in one of the potatoes. And when it goes in really easily, then you know that the dish is ready. So here's our finished product. It's a great addition to any holiday meal, and it's nice and browned and looks absolutely delicious.